So guys, are you making full use of your savings? Think of the times you've yearned for better returns. After inflation, charges, and taxes, are you even making a profit? With food, clothing, and rent all more than doubling over the last 10 years, you need to do something different. And gambling on Robinhood and stocks might lose you the lot. And like thousands of others, you want to retire stress-free. A precious metals IRA with Noble Gold could be the answer. And this month, Noble Gold is gifting a genuine rare Carson City minted, uncirculated Morgan silver dollar with every qualifying IRA or 401k. These things are beautiful. These coins were around when an ounce of silver was worth $1. An 1893 example in mint condition is now worth more than $3,250, a staggering increase of 325,000%. That's a return of over 2,500% a year. This is the power of long-term precious metals investing. So get in touch with the experts over at Noble Gold and talk through your options today. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Once again, that's www.noblegoldinvestments.com, or click the link in the description box below.
How's it going, my fellow world patriots? It is Friday night, March 26, 2021, and had a nice, good, long work week. My first week back after a year on the couch. Jumps off the couch, all-star player. So we're going to have a special guest. My buddy JUAN07 is going to call in. We're going to do about an hour show here, guys. We know Red Pill's going in about 9 p.m. Eastern, so we don't step on toes around here. But we're going to start off with something very interesting, guys, and this gets even more puzzling as we go along here. So let me pop this up here quick. So if any of you guys have seen Tron's video from last Sunday, or was it 2 Sundays ago now? Well, in any event, him and a couple of his co-hosts, Leonidas and Grasshopper and Luke Slytalker, they were talking about the decodes and, hey, do these people listen? And numerous times, guys, over the last few years, not numerous, maybe 2 or 3 times, while me, Hulk, Ardoc, either Tron or Matthew from TNFM were doing the show, we'd be talking about something, then all of a sudden Q would post right after, like Palpatine's Revenge, the chat log, so that comes up. So, we were kind of being tongue-in-cheek, and I think, Tron was at the time too. He's like, come on, Dan, we want to see you post some flags. And then they said, what else do you guys want to see? And the consensus was we want to see flags and we wanted to see eagles, right? So what do you have like the next day here? Dan Scavino next to a bunch of flags with some eagles. And I got my buddy Juan calling in right now here, guys, but I think he might have trouble calling in on the Zoom. But give me 1 second if you're listening, Juan. Let me see. Hold on 1 second, guys. Well, you know what happens, guys? It's pretty funny. If you don't actually send somebody a link to the Zoom, they're not going to be able to show up, apparently. So let me send Juan this off. So I'm going to continue on this as he's coming into the room, but very interesting here, guys. I got to make sure the volume's down on this. Invite, copy, there we go. So after he had gotten his confirmation, and I think there's no, coincidence there, that he posts that. Yes, he does post flags often. So as we're talking yesterday on the Table of Titans, and Juan's in here now, boom. So as we're doing the Table of Titans last night, guys, we had this happen. Now I'm going to show you the timing of this because I thought it was like 15 minutes after this request, but it was almost identical at the same damn time. So I'm going to share my screen with Juan. If you're there, brother, just give me 1 second. I'm going to run through this quick decode here with the folks, and I think this is pretty interesting. So here's what we were talking about during the show last night, and I think it was pretty tongue-in-cheek, of course, and you'll see we were kind of being humorous. So listen to what Ardoc had asked Dan Scavino for last night.
John, before we start,
yes,
we respectfully request, because President Trump was on with Laura Ingraham tonight, and Fox, I guess, and we know that they have watched the show in the past, so we respectfully request that they release a notification of some kind. Hulk, what do you want the notification to be? What do you want it to contain?
I'd have to think about that.
How about the word, the big picture?
Ooh.
The title of the show, The Big Picture. in some sort of social
Yes.
media post to let us know that you're there.
All right. So he's asking Dan Scavino for the big picture. Okay. And I'll go over the timing with this, but at 11:01 p.m., while we were going on with the show last night, Dan Scavino posts this. So here is the part where I have to give full disclosure. It is Medal of Freedom Day yesterday, or Medal of Honor Day yesterday. So here we have a video that Dan Scavino posted right around that same time, and he's talking about the 25 Medal of Honor recipients. Thank you guys. The 25 Medal of Honor. Let's listen to that really quick.
And we're here today to mark Medal of Honor Day, and it is my great privilege and high honor to welcome 25 Medal of Honor recipients to our...
All right, so 25 Medal of Honor recipients. And of course, we look at timestamps. And to be honest with you guys, I didn't even go to 11:01 or go to 23:01 yet to look at that. But 25, and we did this live during the show. 25, post 25, November 1st, 2017. Follow up to last post. Return to comments. Pelosi and John M. Some of us refuse to say his last name for a reason. This all has meaning. Everything stated. Big picture stuff. Few positions allow for this direct knowledge. We sincerely appreciate the work you do. Keep up the good fight. The flow of information is vital. God bless. Oh, and proof to begin 11.3. So here we go with this. I'll get to that later. So here's where the full disclosure of all this comes on. We were talking, me and Ardoc and Hulk, just before I went live here. That's why I was late 2 minutes. If you guys see the timestamp here, we go live at 9:30. Okay, 9:30 every Thursday. We go live. This is exactly an hour and 30 minutes into this show. So you go an hour, 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock, right? He posted this at 11:01. I'm not saying, they were saying maybe it could have been right before, it could have been right after. I don't know if that's a coincidence, guys. It is Medal of Honor Day, but I got to tell you, that gave me the chills last night to see something like that come up. And I'll have to, go back and see exactly what time we started that show at. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but my brother, are you there, Mr. Juan? How are you doing today, sir? Let me make sure he can hear me. Oh, he can't hear me. Here we go. Mr. Juan, how are you doing today, sir? Make sure he can get on here. Hello? I had him muted while I was saying, hey, hold on a second, Juan. I just want to finish this decode real quick. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Juan's in here. He's unmuted. And
yeah, I'm here. You don't hear me?
There we go. I hear you now, buddy. Perfectly fine.
All right.
How's it going today,
I
buddy?
don't see a video in there. Is there a video on this here?
Oh, yeah, I got a video.
Here.
I got a video on you. Yeah, I got a middle finger on the screen. I see a cocktail table and a drink.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't know if you heard
I was
any
just
of
trying to
that.
make sure I had the right part of the video showing, not me.
There you go. I know I was muted there, so I don't know if you heard any of that little decode, but I sent you information. But the plot twist of this one, Juan, is if you can see on the screen, I'll let you know. The post came in at 11:01 that Dan Scavino posted about 25. We go to post 25 and it talks about big picture, what Ardoc had mentioned. We start our show every Thursday at 9:30. And that was exactly at the 1 hour and 30 minute mark. So it would bring us up to, and it was like 30 seconds. So it would literally bring us up to 11 o'clock on the dot in about 30 seconds. That's assuming we started exactly on the money. So it's a gray area as to, was that directly after? Was it right before? But highly coincidental. I mean, there are coincidences, but the fact that he posted something that leads to post 25, that leads to big picture, which is the name of our show last night, kind of gave me the creepy crawlies in a good way. So I don't know what's up with that. But how you been, buddy? It's been a long time. We haven't done a show for a while.
We have not done the show. I don't know how long it's been. It's got to at least been 6 months. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I would say at least for sure. I would say. But
I mean,
I've been
maybe
listening
longer.
to you. I've been listening to your shows, and this week I listened to your interview with Sean at SGT the other day. Helped me get through an hour or two of work. I appreciate that.
Oh, by the way, gosh, I don't know. I can't tell if I'm zooming in on it or not, but here comes a Janet flight right over the top of me going out to Area 51 coming out of McCarran. Really? Yeah, I guess I can't get the right angle to get it, but so white with a red stripe. I haven't seen one of those quite go over my head like that here. So that's kind of cool.
Definitely.
My end on the camera isn't showing here at my end, it's only showing your screen, so that's fine.
Gotcha. Yeah, I put your window up on the screen. I was trying to get it a little bit bigger, but yeah, I can't really see it in that small window. But yeah, I know that was
Yeah.
that was a little those are the flights that they take the crew over to Area 51, all kind of supposedly covertly, right?
Yeah, it's not that frequent. You'll see them coming out of McCarran anymore. They used to be very, very regular, and now most stuff is going in. They either bus them in or take them other ways to other locations. So I was pretty surprised just now to see that flight. He was clearly headed right straight over. His path was just a straight shot over to Groom Lake and all that.
Groom Lake. Yeah. So, I mean, what are the odds that that's the, I know everybody looks at like Area 51, but everybody knows about Area 51. So there's got to be a couple of other facilities out there, I'm sure, that
Oh
nobody
my
knows
gosh,
of, right?
yeah, no doubt about it. Can you see the strip down there?
I can. Looks like the Vegas Strippy. And I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get the little video on the screen bigger for the folks so we can see here. Let me see what I can finagle here. But here we go. Optimize.
Well, I can
screen.
zoom it at my end if I can see it, but it's not letting me see the video on my side. So
All right,
it's
so
just
let me
showing me your screenshot. So there you go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
If I stop sharing my screen, there we go. You don't need to see my screen, but there we go. You got the strip going on there.
Well, I might need to see your screen, so don't be shy. I just thought you'd get a kick out of seeing this, but I got to show you this. So I'm sitting here, and I look over, and I was like, "What in the world? That looks like somebody's got something going on there with a cloud ship." And then I realized, oh no, it's the reflection of the stratosphere in the window of my room. And so the stratosphere is actually over here somewhere out there. There it is. So I'm seeing the top of the stratosphere out in my room here.
You have some visitors from another planet here. No.
Yeah. But no, I've actually got I've got the presidential suite over here at the Trump. It's been very nice. It's spectacular spots. It's actually the highest hotel room in Las Vegas.
Like you're living there lately. I see a lot of the interviews. I don't know if you're in the same room, but looks like you're in the same place for sure.
Yeah, I kind of move around a little bit here and there. And so for the last, I don't know, week and a half, I've had the presidential suite, and it's been really very enjoyable. So the president doesn't actually stay here. He stays 2 floors below me, where there is they have security from the roof side. It's closed off to the regular everybody else, and so that's kind of the routine. So
where's the building with the whole Vegas shooting? Was that Mandalay Bay? Was that?
Mandalay Bay. If you look way down there, that's the
gold one, right?
At the very center, there's a goldish colored building to the right, and that's the Mandalay Bay.
Okay, I think it's this one you're talking
about.
So yeah.
There's actually 2. You can see the second area of it to the right, further back there. So that's Mandalay Bay down there.
Was my bad. My bad video making skills. I saw what I thought was some serious oddities going on there during that shooting, and of course I made a video on it where the shooter was on the 32nd floor. And I seen this Momo who is just this guy with blonde, I called him Thor. He had this like long golden locks hair down to his shoulders, and he got shot in the head. And he was showing the interview. The guy was shooting down from the 32nd floor, so he shows the camera person, turns his head around. He's like, "Yeah, I got shot like right here." So he's pulling up his hair, showing that he says he gets shot at the base of the skull. And then he says that the bullet went out the top of the back of his head. And I'm like, wait, what was this guy doing? Like a friggin' handstand when he got shot? And the fact that he had a full head of hair still. My brother works at the emergency room and has for 20 years at least. And he was like, yeah, he doesn't believe any conspiracy theories at all, period. But I showed him that, and he's like, yeah, I don't buy that. He goes, the first thing they would do is shave that whole area so they can get access to treat the wound. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is I actually had dinner with somebody the other night who worked in the emergency room here at the hospital. And he said, yeah, there was no increase in admissions that night. I was working that night, and we were like told there was going to be a bunch of people admitted. He just said there was no increase in admissions. We didn't see anybody. And the whole idea is that people get shot like that, they don't all just die. And so where's the injuries? Usually the injuries run 3 to 4 times the deaths, and even if it results in death, they're in there being treated, triaged, etc., and then eventually die from their wounds. It's very rare that you have any significant number like that are dead instantly, especially in that kind of a thing. They weren't up close and all that. I don't care about the caliber.
Exactly.
So it just was it was BS. It's just not true.
and you remember too the they did the autopsies, the coroner report, and I'm doing some air quotes here, not that people can see, but I remember there's a guy, Paladin, had done extensive reporting on the results of the coroner, and then what they had found was, I thought it was like 60% or 70% of the people were past rigor mortis already, and I wasn't aware of this before any of this stuff happens. They say rigor mortis sets in. And I'm probably gonna botch it right now, but it sets in after a certain amount of time, but then it lasts for a couple of days. And I wasn't aware of the fact that rigor mortis actually goes away after that. Like your body gets stiff, and then it's not stiff after that. And they were past the point of rigor mortis when they were doing the autopsies on these people, which 100% didn't make any sense. And we all know there was some highly suspect thing going on around that.
Oh yeah, shoot, they'd freaking there. We haven't heard the end of that lie.
Yeah, I mean, some people think that Trump was up there.
My buddy, so just seeing picture, this is Las Vegas Strip right here, Las Vegas Boulevard. So this is all the casinos downtown Las Vegas. As far as the eye can see, where the road goes out and kind of disappears, way out there, several miles out, off to the left, past that last building, that area right there, where there's kind of a dark streak there. My buddy owns all of that, 660 acres. Oof. He's the last of the Las Vegas Boulevard, and right on his property, it switches from Las Vegas Boulevard to Route 66. So he is the beginning of Route 66. He has 660 acres out there.
That's cool. And then, and it's on the corner of 66. That's pretty crazy. Got some numbers.
Well, I hadn't even thought about that. He's in the middle of a huge, here comes another Janet aircraft. Doggone.
There you go. Maybe
so they must be, they're running the cruise out. Let's see if I can find him.
Yeah, I got him on the screen for sure.
Yeah. So that's 2.
Almost yellow on the bottom, huh?
Yeah. I take that back. That's not one of the Janets. I thought that was kind of unusual. That one there is one of the Pacific Fleet ones, but they are turning. Normally, and here's another one coming out here right now. Normally, they don't turn quite that sharp out here, so there must be something traffic-wise that they're doing to make this hard turn. Yeah, see, like he's going out the way that most of them go out straight on out the end of the runway and then do a turn later on. So anyway, just fun stuff.
No, yeah, I love to see stuff like that too. And I was amazed too when I went out to LA for the first time. I thought it was just flat ground or whatever, but as we're flying in, I would say even more mountainous than we're seeing here. It was mountains all around me. I was like, wow, LA's got mountains everywhere. That's weird.
Yeah.
Talk about not a world traveler over here. That's for sure.
Yeah, you go up to where the Reagan Library is and all that. Shoot, it's just, that's all mountains up there. Great area to go driving and stuff like that. In fact, I got a Jeep here a couple of months back. That's, one of these got every option in the world on a Rubicon, and it's built outer space. And Mike Reagan has a Jeep, and I wanted to buy the one his dad had out at the ranch, and they'd promised to let me buy it. And then that was right when Reagan had become diagnosed with the Alzheimer's. He was going to get rid of one Jeep and get another one. And I said, well, I want to buy the Jeep. And he said, okay, that's fine. Work it out. I'll get it taken care of at the office. And then it was just after that stuff happened. I never got to get it. And it pissed me off. It was a blue Renegade. And so anyway, I hadn't gotten another Jeep since then. And then here I got a chance to get this kind of dolled up cheap the other day. And the whole time I've been thinking, I got to go take that up in the mountains over there, up behind the Reagan Library, and just have some fun. It's a great spot over there. And it's all mountains, huge everywhere, mountains. You know, the big observatories are up there. I used to go up there all the time. And so, yeah,
Lots
a lot of fun places up there.
Lots of fun. And you did you guys do the premiere of that movie in the same area? I know you were in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, we did that here in Las Vegas. We did it at the South Point Casino, and a great guy, Mike Gaugan, owns that casino. It's the largest off the strip, outside of the strip. It's the largest casino in Nevada. And he actually runs a great operation out there. And so he has a movie theater. I think it's 12-plex, might even be 16 as I think about it now. Cinemark Theater complex that's in his casino. They have a bowling alley in there and all sorts of stuff. They've actually got a horse riding competition area inside the casino. So anyway, we rented their XD theater and showed the Sound of Freedom there, multiple showings on a Sunday. And then on Saturday, because they had a lot of people that were flying in, we showed The Called, The Makings of a Perfect Day, Jennifer Max movie.
That was cool.
Yeah, and we showed that, and that was really a lot of fun to get to see that on the big screen. And, you know, when we were making it, we made it for, you know, internet, and never, you know, she had mentioned she wanted to see it on the big screen. I kind of mentally in my mind thought, well, yeah, that'd be fun, maybe someday. And I hadn't really given it any great likelihood. And then when we had all these people showing up, and I didn't want to show The Called at the same time we were showing Sound of Freedom, because I didn't want to dilute it. I didn't want to distract from it. Mm-hmm. And so I just decided, well, day before, I don't have a problem with that. So I rented a theater, and we did, I think, 4 showings of The Called, and people really enjoyed it. It was great fun. And then Jim Caviezel couldn't fly in until Sunday, and he wanted to see it. So we did an additional screening on Monday, rented the theater again for The Called. And we had the theater full of people that day too. It was everybody else. It sounded like everybody's going home. As soon as people realized we were showing up one more day, people stuck around, and we had a couple hundred people in there for that showing. That's so awesome. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I could have joined you, and I do appreciate, you know, the invite. And you know, like I said, if I left, my wife probably wouldn't have let me come back in the house because of the, you know, even though all the information I show, you know, she's still kind of wigged out about the COVID. But you know, I would have loved, you know, he's always actually been one of my favorite actors too. I think he does a great job, and you know, he's quite outspoken too. You know, he's not shy about speaking out about God as well. As we've seen, you know, plenty of videos.
In fact, he and I have had a great time this last several weeks, and he is just a you know, true believer, very sincere in his faith. You know, there's no question as to the reality or the sincerity of his faith, and I think that's really important. You know, a lot of guys, it's almost like it's an afterthought, or it's, you know, they want you to know so you get them in mental category a certain way. But in his case, it's the real deal. And we've had some great conversations. A wonderful guy. Really appreciate much getting the opportunity to, you know, meet him and do some stuff with him.
Yeah, that's sweet. And you know what? As much as he's a great actor playing a good guy, but he's a great actor playing a bad guy. I think he was the warden in that movie with was it Schwarzenegger and Stallone? Yeah, and he's definitely you know, he's very passionate. I've seen, you know, many videos about, you know, him speaking out, you know, about his faith. So that's a great thing for sure. And we have some chatter and in the chat, and I kind of wanted to bring this up anyways. So I'll share with you for a second. Well, I can tell you what's on the screen, and I'll pop it up quick. But
yeah, go ahead.
So some people are saying, you know, the whole evergreen shipping container that was stuck in. For me, I look at something like that as almost like a hat tip to us that they're putting this everywhere. But then we have other people that are posting on Telegram that, it was a shipping container that had this kid's being trafficked in there, and that's why it got stuck, because they're arresting people in there. And I look at it just kind of like, and there are a lot of evergreen containers out there. Let's not shy away from that fact. But what were your thoughts on that? I mean, and the part I wanted to bring up too is that I discussed it on the show last night, because I hear people like, oh, go check out 107's Telegram. Go check out his Telegram. And I'm just, every time I see it, I'm just like wringing my hands. I'm like, how many times have we said Juan has his 107daily.com website? He's not on any social media. So you can confirm that, right? So people don't think I'm talking crap.
No, I do no social media. None. I never have. Not even once. So if anybody's saying that it's me, that's not true. If somebody's trying to post stuff that I've said and like that, I don't have a problem with that. But as far as actually interacting via social media, I haven't ever done that. Now at 107 Daily, I haven't actually posted anywhere there yet. And part of the reason is while we've had a lot of people come in and they're on the site and able to converse and do the conversations like you have a Twitter type site and Facebook type site. I haven't actually posted there yet. And the reason is because we've been getting through the beta. Well, and that too. A couple weeks ago, we were attacked very massive attack to try and do stuff in the site with the people involved, which we know a lot more than they think we know about them. And they made a huge push to attack the site. And what they didn't understand is that this is only the beta side. The stuff that we were doing is temporary while we were bringing up our own systems. So the ability to do what they just, did is short-lived. And it was, while we're in this build out that we're doing, pretty involved build out. I think people will be very impressed with what they see over there. And rather than talk about it or try to bait people in or whatever, we're just doing it. And I think that you'll find that we're very competitive in a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube world. I think we'll be just fine. And people are going to be very well served. They're going to really enjoy what's there. I had a bunch of people in town over the last week while we were working on technical aspects of what we're going to do on our news side. And I think people are going to have a great time with that there. I think it'll be best in the world, period. And, several of the people there, I mean, these are world-class guys. And we went through, in fact, I had somebody this morning and we were doing some part of it. And this is somebody that, a lot of people would know the person's name instantly in this business, and said, with what we were going through on the technical side, he says, it's going to be the best site in the world. And that's going to be the best news feed site in the world. And I said, yeah, I think so. I really do. So we'll see. Talk's cheap. We're swinging for the fences. We're really trying to do something first class. And if we're able to pull it off the way we think we are, I think that all those people have been deplatformed, that have been attacked like you have. You're going to be able to do what you're doing other places, etc. But at the end of the day, it's my hope, it's my intention to have a site where you go, what, this is the place, it's my primary, this is the place I want to be, this place people are going to find me. And there's not going to be a need or desire to do other stuff other than the normal backup you do. But at the end of the day, we're really trying very hard to have a very deep system, and we've thought through all the various problems and vulnerabilities, and again got world-class guys on this. It's not, this is not the trainee hour. So anything that somebody saw, we're using other stuff for tools like that. That's just part of the build out. And looking at stuff that we might want to dial in on what we're doing. But I'm pretty comfortable. We've got something that people are really, really going to appreciate and enjoy, and we'll find out. I'm not doing it for training and for an exercise. We're doing it for the real world, real deal, and that's what's going on.
That's awesome. Yeah, we got my mods are awesome too. They're dropping the link for the 107daily.com there too. So just keep that in your back pocket, guys. If you have any issues logging on, as you can imagine, you guys remember the Q boards were getting DDoS attacked, and they don't want people being able to go out there and talk to one another, apparently, because they're trying to shut everybody down. And I think it's good what you're doing over there, as far as you're basically you're almost doing the trifecta, or almost the quadfecta. You're doing all the things that the other sites are doing, but all in one place. So if you can, like you said, if you're aiming high, and if it does work out as you're planning, I think it will be a home run, because you said you can, do videos, you can do live streams, you can, put posts, just like all these other sites can
Everything.
do. But, so that'll be really good.
Everything. And part of the thing is we'll have live shows will be behind the paywall. It has to do with the types of attacks that are out there that are possible. But it's a $3 a month paywall. And
pretty steep.
It just stops a lot of the mischief. And then the other side of the coin is after a period of days, then it'll come out from behind the paywall. So I don't want to keep anybody that's, look, there's parts of the world where $3 is, a day's wages.
Yeah.
I want this available everywhere. And a lot of the stuff we're doing is worldwide. So they can still get it. They'll get it delayed, a few days, but they'll get it. And those that can and are able to do it live, want to do interaction feedback, even the monetization that some of the shows do with the super chats, things like that. That's all possible with us as we finish this build out over the next few weeks. And it won't be months, it's weeks and or less.
Awesome.
But the point is that, for example, I have a friend who he grew up with the Quito Indians down in Nicaragua. Very sensitive situation. His dad is a star on the wall when you go into the CIA. And he gives computers and satellite link stuff to the kids who live out there. And the pictures and the stuff that the kids send, they're growing up in an extremely remote situation. There's no power stations out there. Okay. When he was little, he used, in order to get your bait down deep enough in the water, fast enough to get to where the big fish are, you had to get down faster than the little bait fish would come in and get your bait off the hook. So in order to get your bait down there fast enough, he used gold nuggets. That's what's in his fishing box, his little wood box that he carried all his fishing lures in. He's using gold to weight down his line to get the food down deep enough to get to the big gropers when he's fishing with his little hand spool fishing set. That's how far out there. Gold is just used for fishing weights.
Yeah, not like lead or metal and steel like the normal folk.
Right. And then, but for those kids to be able to come over, access the site, interact, find things, etc. We'll give them stuff. We'll make it possible for them to be on our site. But there's a lot of them I might not cross paths with or get to see or whatever. I don't want them to be unable to reach us, unable to find stuff. And so there'll be aspects of it that won't be behind the paywall. But in the world the way it is, we just have to be realistic about what you can and can't do, and what the logistics are. So we're doing this to really provide something that's being taken away elsewhere. And it's a hybrid. You got a YouTube type thing. We got all the videos. We got the storage. It's ours. It's nobody else's. We're not using somebody else's product. Where any of that stuff is there, that's a temporary feature while we're building out. I just got pictures today of one of the locations that we're building out. And I mean, they're going hard at it. They've been, hard at it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now, as equipment's coming in and they're building it out, and we'll have multiple sites around the country and then several around the world. So it's not a minor undertaking. Once we decided I have a business partner and a couple very small partners beyond that. And once we decided to go for it and penciled out and said, no, we're not doing it. So many of the sites are just ghosting. I have no interest in doing that. I don't want anybody else in the way. I don't want anybody else messing with us. And even on the places we're tapping into the backbone, multiple companies, not one, of the biggest of the big. And zero Amazon, zero of the other stuff in the final build out. Nobody's coming in and screwing with us. We're not going to put up with that crap. So we think we've got something that's really unique. It's going to do something that the country needs, and especially at the most critical time. You can think anything you want. We're about to have a moment in the history of America that's going to be almost incomprehensible to most people as it happens. Mm-hmm. Take some deep breaths. This is far from over.
Yeah. And the sad reality is a lot of people, lost faith after that election. And I guess to a certain extent, it's understandable. And I think a lot of people, we were getting 4,000 or 5,000 people watching live. And then ever since the inauguration, we still have the diehards who, thank you guys all who are listening now. But those are the people that have been following all along the whole time. And I think they get a good grasp of what's going on here. So actually, let me clear this out. I'm going to just, people don't really think about this stuff, too well. Here we have a post after the election, after they know it was stolen, right? Shall we play a game? Nothing can stop what is coming. So he's talking about the NC SWIC, which is, the CISA deal with basically enforced to basically be controlling the election security. Oh, it's the most secure election of all time. But nothing can stop what is coming. Dual meanings here. More coming. Why is this relevant? How do you show the public the truth? How do you safeguard U.S. elections post-POTUS? How do you remove foreign interference and corruption and install U.S. owned voter ID laws and other safeguards? It had to be this way. Sometimes you must walk through the darkness before you can see the light. And then the day before, same day, nothing can stop what is coming, reiterating here. And there's another one too that was, this is not another 4-year election. And I always found that to be odd, Juan, that he always said, this is not another 4-year election, but he never just said, this isn't just your average presidency, or this isn't another 8-year presidency, or I'm just not your average president. But they went with, this is not another 4-year election. We've seen this, we've seen other posts talking about the end won't be for everybody. We're forcing these people to work in the sunlight. No longer can they hide and work in the shadows. I mean, thinking back on some of the posts back then, we're like, well, just covering it and kind of deciphering it the best we can. But I got to tell you, a lot of these posts make a hell of a lot more sense now, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sure do.
Anybody that thinks this is over and, they got us and, proved that none of this is true, etc. All right. That makes you feel better. Enjoy the show.
Yeah. And, I was mentioning this last night too on the show, is that what's really disconcerting for me is seeing the people like myself who nobody knew who the heck I was. And I'm not saying I'm a celebrity or anything even close to that, but, I have had a great following of loyal, great patriots here that watch my videos, but none of these people would have known who I was if it wasn't for Q. Similarly, all these other people that covered Q for the last 4 years, to see some of these people not only just kind of put it down and walk away, but some people are actually out there trashing. Oh yeah, we'll trust the plan. Well, Biden's in there. Look what he's doing. It's like, you people don't see how blatantly brash and obvious they are. Because I would say if Biden was in there legitimately and they legitimately won and there was no plan, I don't think they would be this brazen and roll out the things they have in 2 months now. I mean, and I made the comparison yesterday. We have Durham, he has protections, but there's another guy, Weiss, who's going over Hunter's taxes, right? These guys are still in there. And obviously, protections for Durham, but why not get rid of this guy Weiss? If they're so brazen to do all these other things that they're doing, What would stop them from getting rid of this guy Weiss and then letting nobody cover it on the media, just like they didn't cover anything about Hunter previously? You know what I mean? So people just don't see this
Right.
stuff. And my favorite is Monkey Works, who watches the airplanes all the time, and apparently
I love him.
yeah,
Gosh,
we have
give
yet to
the
see.
guy a shout out. He's a blast.
Yeah, and we have yet to see apparently a flight where Joe Biden was on an airplane that they named it Air Force One. And I've heard some
right.
people say,
Well, it's not
well, maybe
name,
it's security.
it's designate.
Oh, yeah, designation.
Designate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people said, well, maybe it's for security because they're worried about. And I'm like, well, no, isn't it actually for security? Why they designate it Air Force One? So that way other planes know to stay away. Airports know when they're coming in. They got to do holding patterns. I mean, right there. If me and you got on a plane from Vegas and we're flying over to Rhode Island and we're taking Southwest S123 or whatever, the moment a legitimate president jumps on that plane, it will be designated Air Force One, period, full stop. Correct?
If the president climbs on a Sopwith Camel from World War One, it is Air Force One. It is the plane that everything rallies around and maneuvers past, etc. I remember when President Trump came into Dallas 2 years back. I think it was a year and a half ago back, and we counted the number of aircraft that were flying with Air Force One, and it was like 18. And the ones that were visible were like a dozen. There were 6 more that were flying Overwatch at much higher altitudes. And it was stunning. And of course, those aircraft were there not just in a protective stance, but because they were literally there to take a bullet. Anything came their way, they got the hotter engines and they would bring it in. It was pretty amazing. You have nothing like that with any aircraft that Biden has been on thus far. It's just, and remember that first one when they showed the older aircraft and he gets on the plane, Biden gets on it, he gets in the second door, and then they finally get the engine started. The biggest cloud of kerosene you've ever seen in your whole life comes out the back of that thing. It's like they're putting, we don't know where he's going because you can't see past the smoke cloud.
Yeah, and
it was
and
like a James Bond film putting out the oil slick.
Yeah, and I remember saying that. I was like, I wouldn't put my worst enemy on it. And then you have the pickup truck, the SUV that pulls up. It's got these big emblems that POTUS never had on it. These big threat slap-on magnet stickers. Oh, it's the president of the United States with these big flags and whatnot. But you know what I just figured out too, and maybe you can bear with me for just a half a second here.
Sure.
Let me see if I'm doing math right. 2301. So if we add 11 plus 12 is 2301. Okay. So the post last night where Dan Scavino posted that leads to 1101, which I didn't really get to, but I added military time 2301. Red October. Wasn't that something I was hearing the last couple of days that I think Monkey Works was also talking about it, the fact that they think there was, well, not that they think, and even my buddy Paul, who's retired Air Force, big shout out to him as well. He was saying that they were a crap load of these, what were they, P-8s? They're submarine hunters, right?
Yes,
and they were up recently.
They're running off the Florida coast heavy and hard. The waters around there are pretty hard to hide in, but you could get something smaller in there. And nice thing about Florida, it is kind of a defensible peninsula in its own way. And there certainly is those Poseidon aircraft. There is a very interesting aspect to what they're doing from a protective stance. And of course, the whole country is in an interesting stance because we got 2 aircraft carrier task forces off the East Coast and 3 off the West Coast. Very, very, very unusual situation. A task force is normally about 100 ships, bigger and smaller. You have a lot of support ships that don't fit within the regular Navy. We talk about the cruisers and other ships. We've got a smaller Navy than we had years ago. I don't know what the total number now. It's down in the 400s, I think. Back in Reagan, we built it from the mid 300s back up into the 500 plus. But you have a lot of smaller support ships that go with an aircraft carrier task force, and that about 100 ships each. So the East Coast and the West Coast really are a picket line of Navy vessels out there doing whatever, making sure everybody out there knows we haven't got our guard dropped while whatever's happening internally in America and the political spectrum in America, we don't look vulnerable because we aren't, whatever's happening, we aren't dropping our guard. We're not backing off. And anybody that thinks they're going to take advantage of that, think again.
Yeah, and remember Putin from last week, right? With the whole back and forth, and he's like, "Oh, I wish Joe good health. I really wish him good health. No joking." It's like, okay, Vlad. Okay, Vladdy Bear. We trust that you're not really, like we know these. They see what's going on here for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop this in the chat, and I'm gonna play this quick for you, Juan. It's less than a minute here. This is a clip that I took from Monkey Works. I want to say a few weeks ago. So I will put the link for this, guys, and you can find his channel there. But here's about a 50-second, and I think I should be sharing with you, so you should be able to hear this.
Now, we're going to go through a couple things here this morning. I will tell you, right now we do have 82-8000, which is one of the presidential birds, airborne. I will tell you that Joe is still, he is in the senior center today, up in the brown zone, that he doesn't have any travel on the docket. But just note that it is still being called NA, whether he's on it or not, which is kind of an interesting thing. And I'm really not sure what to make of all of this just yet. This is still very unusual for him to be flying on that and not calling it Air Force One. I don't know if it's just out of disrespect or security, or he's actually not POTUS. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Did you see now he's calling Joe Biden flashbang, and he's calling Kamala Harris Bob Marley. He says because he looks like he's flashbanged all the time, and Kamala with the marijuana, So fucking funny. And how about Joe getting rid of all the the marijuana users? But she admitted to doing it. She inhaled as well. Are they going to get rid of her? Of course not. It's
No.
I had a theory, Juan, and maybe I don't know if you had your opinion on it. So I'm dropping this Monkey Works video here, guys. You guys can follow him on YouTube.
Do follow him. I love what he's doing. He's doing a tremendous service. He's a quality guy. Actually knows what he's talking about. I have a lot of respect for what he's doing, and big shout out to Monkey Works. Thank you, guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Does great work, and it's very interesting that they're not designating it Air Force One. But my thoughts recently, we were told, and one of my longtime viewers had emailed me the other night, kind of freaking out. They sent me one of these videos. It's like, the deep state is about to round up all the people, and the whole video was literally media. It was just like one media post, one celebrity from Hollywood saying, what we need to do. Meghan McCann, who was obviously upset because her father got taken off this planet 30 days on the money, like Hugh told us. All these people, so people are kind of freaking out because they see, like, you see all these different things, and I'm like, listen, do people not remember all the things that we are seeing right now? We were literally told everything that they're doing right now. We were told ahead of time what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and so these people have been watching this. So now what I'm thinking, in the last few weeks and a little bit more on than that, was that what if they're just waiting for Joe? We know he's not going to be there very much longer. And then they put in, Kamala into the position. And then, all right, well, now we're handing it over to a person who's not even born of our country. I mean, I think it's bad enough the fact that she's vice president now, or if she, I don't know what the case is, but the fact that she even is in that position, or they state that she's in that position. But, is it a difference between now we giving the power to this person who is kind of an anchor baby, I guess? I mean, I don't know what the case is, but it's all about infiltration. And I asked my co-panelist yesterday, what are your thoughts on Kamala? You think that she's a very similar animal to Barack Obama, where she was, placed in these positions and coaxed right along to ultimately subvert our country?
Yeah, I haven't really talked. I don't think about it publicly, but I will tell you, because I love your listenership and appreciate you a tremendous amount, and I think it doesn't matter now as much. I actually wrote about or I shouldn't say wrote, but I discussed a dream I had over a year ago when I was off the coast of Iran on a vessel, and I had a dream that woke me up. I mean, I don't have dreams, and this was, I rarely remember any detail like that, but I had one that was so shocking. It was so stunning to me. I woke up and it was like somebody throwing a bucket of water, like a 5-gallon bucket of water on the bed I was on. One? Yes, that's the one where I had this inside church thing. I wrote about it in my book.
Very interesting.
And I talked about it. And the part that didn't really make clear at the time was the person I saw was Joe Biden. He's the guy that was on the swing. And when the swing came back after he'd hit one of the pews and hit his head, that was Kamala Harris. And I said at the time last year, I talked about it, last March, April, and I wrote, notes to people that morning as it happened. I'm sitting having coffee in the back of the ship, thinking about what just happened. I was watching the moon set and the sunrise, and it was just, oh my gosh. But the swing hit this person. I said, well, she's not black, although it looked like she was black, but I was headed to India at the time. And I said, well, it looks like, that kind of skin like Indian people. And so I talked about that. And this is way before Harris became the nominee or became, the VP nominee. This is back in, this happened in January, February, tail end of January, early February. And then, I had spoken about it on interviews, I think early March or something, late February, early March. So, but that was Kamala Harris. There was no question it was Kamala Harris. I just didn't want to, be too direct at the time. And so there's something about what's about to happen there tied into her and the way things are happening. And something is there's some kind of a thing that's going to come back and hit her too after Biden, is the way I saw it. And we'll just have to watch and see how this plays out. But, she is not qualified to be president of the United States. And if you think she is, and I don't mean on her skill sets and everything else, on the birth, the way that our system is set up. So, this is somebody else's person, a Manchurian candidate put into position to take control here in the country. From a military standpoint, as I've said all the way along, they've already done their analysis at this point. Whatever games are being played are in the setup to be able to return a lawful civilian control to the government of the United States. And the military has the ball on the timing and the manner in which that is done. And that's just the way it is. So
I got one for you, buddy. How about this?
Yeah.
And we'll go tinfoil hat time for a minute. And you know what? I'm making fun of this, but in this day and age, anything could be possible. So guys, I'm not saying that I think this is true, but somebody had sent me this, and I won't put your name out there because I don't want people thinking you're a crazy tinfoil person. But the Kamala connection is, and because I looked over while you were talking, I seen the chat. Somebody says, I think Harris is a dude. Danny C11 said that, and it reminded me of this email that I got, and it says the Kamala connection, an evil man named Kamal Arush. So they were basically trying to say that Kamala Harris is this guy named Kamal Arush, and to me it looks like a Photoshop job. But I mean, who knows nowadays? Like with all this stuff with Osama bin Laden and Barry. But I just thought it was funny to kind of to touch on the far out for a second and just see what some people are actually pushing this stuff out on these telegrams. And the sad part of it is people take a picture of like your video of you like with your cowboy boots on with a little drink in your hand, and they put that on the top, and people are like, oh yeah, that's JUAN. Yep. So I'm not saying that they're doing it on your fake telegram there, but people are doing, they're putting so much unbelievable disinformation out there, and half of it I think is the other side playing games to get people to like look up something that is just so blatantly obvious, and that when you look it up, then you just kind of like throw my hands up. I'm not going to deal with this stuff anymore. But and then one thing I want to touch on, we're coming up against the hour here, but apparently Trump, about, I think it was actually funny thing was, I think it was 17 minutes ago, this article, when I clicked it on it, now it's 19 minutes ago, but frustrated Trump demands to know if special counsel Durham is still living. He says, where's Durham? Is he a living, breathing human being? Will there ever be a Durham report? And, if I go back to the posts, what was the last post that we had? Was the last post or the first? Yeah, well, the last one was a video. We're not going to take it, which was removed by YouTube. But the first one before that was Durham, So, I mean, we still have that waiting in the wings. Is it going to be anything on Durham? Is this a head fake the whole time? Is it something more that they're looking at? Because, I mean, if you think about the things that these people are implicated in doing, in the grand scheme of things, spying on President Trump is kind of like jaywalking at this point, right? So maybe it was kind of a head fake in that respect, that they're looking at these people for much deeper things. And I've seen other people put out some pretty convincing decodes talking about they may be getting prosecuted for 9/11, which is also has been in many Q drops as well. So I know that was kind of rambling.
Well, remember, President Trump very precisely stated that before he was done, you would know precisely who was behind these attacks, referring to 9/11. And that's a pretty substantial threat, because the crowd that was behind that, this is a cult. 9/11 could not have happened on 9/10 or 9/12, because the programming, the imagery that was concocted around that 9/11 theme, it had to happen exactly what happened. And there was a celestial alignment where Virgo was birthing directly overhead in the astrology. So these people have an agenda, and it may not seem plausible or realistic to most people, because they're not running the politics based on astrology. They're not running the world trying to politicize us and do these catastrophic events in order to have MK Ultra of the broad public and the population of the world. That's like some James Bond, our man Flint kind of a script. That couldn't possibly be the case. You know what? It's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, who you want to tell people, if you remember, who Joan Quigley was? Joan Cecil Quigley, best known for her astrological advice to the Reagan White House in the 1980s, and many presidents over the years have used astrologers, etc. So yeah, it's not so far out of the bounds of thinking. But what are your thoughts on?
Well,
Durham,
of course,
sir?
Nancy did that after Reagan was shot, and part of what she was looking at, just so you know, she was looking at what would the other guys try to time their events to in order to have the maximum meaning. And so a lot of it wasn't even like she was looking in a surreal sense for some, divine thing or whatever. She was looking at what would they want in the timing, what would be the most vulnerable days where the other side might try to do something and get the maximum advantage by the numbers. Because the secret language of Washington, D.C., the secret languages of all these power centers around the world is numbers. They communicate via the numbers. It's like the American Rescue Act, thing that we just had, this bailout for COVID, etc. What number did they use? 19. No, it's not 19. It's 1.9 trillion. Yeah, because the decimal point doesn't mean anything. Zeros don't mean anything. It's a 19. 19 is the power number. So they're looking to get power over the people, over the world, using this power number. The different numbers have different meaning. Anybody doesn't think it's true. Why has the Pentagon got 5 sides on it? Because 5 is the number of death to enemies and defense. And so what's the Pentagon represent? Death to enemies and defense. Everything has a numerical meaning, and there's all sorts of connections. Even the Q thing, 17. 17 is the death and resurrection date of Osiris, the big phallic symbol in the middle of Washington, D.C., the monolith. the Washington Monument, it's a 17. The Cabal versus the Trump Q team is who owns the power of 17. That's the number 17th book of the Bible, Esther. It's the number of the flip, the reversal. Both sides are trying to own these numbers for their own purposes. And it's like the flag. And so who gets to plant their flag on that number? And so, this is what this battle is in part. So when you look at some of this stuff, it's not crazy when you're looking, what would those guys be trying to do with the particular number, date, time, other things? When would they try to pull something off and why? And so even these things that are about to happen, you're going to be able to go back and look at it retroactively and see, oh, they did it on this date. This is what the meaning was. This is what the correlation was. There's multiple options. When they finally do what they do, you look back and go, oh, well, that's what they meant. They can do it with watches. They can do it with other things and posts and all that. They can do variations on the combinations being run by supercomputers calling the shots, and they have multiple options dialed in. When they finally do it, you'll look back at it and go, oh, well, that was obviously what they're going to do the whole time. So pretty good theater.
Exactly. And speaking of theater, I'm showing a video I'm just kind of showing it without playing the audio. John Durham, chapter 5. There's a guy on YouTube, Eric D. Kirk. Apparently he looks a lot like Durham, but he keeps putting out these videos saying, hi, John, I'm John Durham, I got some butt to kick or something like that. So just so everybody knows, this is fake right here. He's not John Durham, but, a lot of people say, that, well, is John Durham a real person? Is he alive? And then, we know that there's a John Durham Jr., right? And if he's not real, who the hell was the guy that, took out the faulty or the crooked FBI agents that were, if I remember correctly, may have been under supervision, for the district for Mueller back in the day. But we know that Durham prosecute these FBI agents that put 2 or 3 guys in jail, and then he found out the proof and immediately went to the judge, got them removed. I think one of them died in jail, or 2 of them died out of the 3. They ended up winning like a $90 million settlement. So, who
horrible, horrible, sad situation. Yes.
Yeah, all around the Whitey Bulger type of stuff too. But it's like, if John Durham isn't real, then who was this person back then, handling these cases? And the other thing too is I can reference Denang Dick Blumenthal, who has rave reviews for Durham when he was nominated, to be the prosecutor years back. Because when I was doing a little digging on him, I was like, well, can't wait for if stuff comes out with Durham, how Dick Blumenthal is going to come out and say anything bad about this guy when he showed such glowing, reports for him before. So we'll have to see what happens with this. But it's kind of interesting. President Trump's coming out and saying, is this guy still alive? Like, what's going on? Or maybe it's like an activation of some sort, Maybe. Never know.
Yeah, no, I think there's so many. This is such theater. And in theater, the colors are brighter, the flamboyance, the handoff one actor to the other to get the lines right, the staging. Everything's designed to catch the eye, to move the eye across the stage. But at the end of the day, it's all staging. And so these other people staged events like 9/11 to capture the mind, the psyche of the world in order to allow them to do the things like the Patriot Act, to set us up for their controls, just like the COVID, all the staging to create this situation where the reality is the world shows up at all the hospital rooms to be injected, poked, respirated to death with intubation and things like that were really designed to kill people. And that sounds, crazy, but it just isn't. It's the reality of what was going on. So with all that in mind, they were doing great theater to capture the world and control the world. And now, in order to capture back the minds, the imaginations, the understanding of the people of the world, they've had to do some theater themselves. It's just the way it is.
Mm.
So, by the way, I think that's another Janet flight right there. But
yeah, my thoughts on the COVID one too,
737.
and I don't know what your opinions on, and maybe we can wrap up after this one. I don't want to take too much of your time, and I know Red Pill.
Oh no, I'm fine. Don't
Okay.
oversweat it.
We got other people in the chat going, do another hour, do another hour. I said, don't test Juan. He'll go an hour. No. But my thoughts on the COVID, and I always enjoy it thoroughly, but my thoughts on the COVID, honestly, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice to anybody out there, but my true thoughts on this after researching everything that I've looked at, I truly believe that they just took the seasonal flu and then told everybody there was this big nasty thing out there. And then, because we know older people, oh my goodness, you get a flu, and oh my God, you have pneumonia now, and then you died. And all these people had all these underlying cases, underlying conditions that lead to them dying, and then you'll always have somebody saying, well, I heard somebody was 30 and they were totally healthy and they died. It's like, do you know the person? No. So my thoughts is truly that they took this, the seasonal flu and just started telling people, oh, there's this big bad thing out there. It's killing everybody. You need to go, block everybody off. But I'll tell you, to me, it seems like if they told everybody in the world that, a bullet in the back of your head will cure you of COVID, we'd be out of bullets, I think. I think that's how dumbed down most of the people are out there. So I don't know what your thoughts are, if you think it's a variation or
two
what.
Things. Number one, of course, it's all these generations, we could never come up with the cure for the common cold and flu.
Yeah.
And now COVID has solved all that. And then, by the way, I was mentioning a few minutes ago, 19. What's it called? COVID-19. Okay. And then, by the way, the number of Prince William, he was born in the 117th Saros cycle, SAROS. And the more virulent, lethal strain of COVID that's now been detected here in the States and other parts of the world is the COVID 117 or B117 strain. And that's kind of interesting. And that's, of course, the British 117. They tag things with numbers for a reason. And there's all sorts of extra meanings. In fact, anybody, your listeners that want to, I've mentioned it other times over the years, but go back and listen to my friend Cal Donnie, Kal, and then Donnie, Dani. And his article, he only did 6. That's all he's ever done that I'm aware of. And the article is Prince William's Occult Numbers. Very long article. Take your time, read it, try to understand what you're looking at there. And there's a long story behind Caldani, but it's worth every second of it. And on the numbers, if you're trying to understand the numbers, these are wizards. This is a type of witchcraft. These wizards, in a very wizardly way, are trying to concoct scenarios to capture the mind of the whole world, to MK Ultra the whole world's population, to do their deeds, to twist us in a Harry Potter type of a sense, to do their magic. And you can't overstate the reality of what I've just said there. That's how they're trying to own and control the world, these globalists. So that's a big part of this fight. And when you see it in the numbers, even with the number of the COVID bill, and they're trying to put a 19 in there, that's for a very precise meaning, a branding in their world of magic that's critical to get to a winning end in this, demonology that they're involved in.
Yeah, I agree. They absolutely do. And a lot of people, well, I remember this, a couple people that, basically go through the, they go through the newspaper articles and stuff like that. And people are predicting, people talking to other people and what the sports scores are going to be and things along the line. So I definitely know that people do that. And, a couple people in the chat also were saying as well that, there's no more deaths this year than there was before. And then there was a great study that I had done a video on Rumble and BitChute and all these, that basically John Hopkins did. And what it came down to, the long and short of it, was the top 5 killers every year, heart disease, all the top 5 killers in order are basically down a certain percentage. Everything's normal as far as deaths for the last 5-10 years or whatever, but the top 5 killers are down a certain percentage. Well, wouldn't you guess that certain percentage equals the friggin' COVID death count? So that's what they're doing. If anybody, if we got tested positive for COVID a month ago or within 30 days or 28 days, and I get hit by a car 2 weeks later, well, because I had COVID and a positive test, they're going to put that down as COVID. Remember the guy that got shot 3 times in the chest, and they said he died of COVID because he had COVID 3 weeks before he got shot. What is his underlying condition? Well, he has lead in his chest. It's just like people just don't see the obvious. And I got to admit, the other side did a great job of breaking us up through the social media platforms, because it makes our jobs infinitely more difficult to get information, and then also to pass it along to people, and then add in the fact that you have all these people putting out crapload of fake information left and right. It's disgusting what we're having to deal with here. And I don't think I ever got to it with you too, Juan, but I did have it up. But I didn't even know this too, that that evergreen shipping container that was stuck in the Suez Canal, apparently
Sure.
the designator
Well,
for
it's
that
a boat. It's
Oh,
an evergreen shipping line boat. But go ahead.
Yeah, apparently the designator for that one was H3RC. So Hillary Rodham Clinton and 3 in that one. But any thoughts on we think it was just an opportunity? It could. I mean, who knows? It absolutely could be a coincidence. I'm never going to throw out that option. But for me, the picture that they have right there, dead in the middle, is evergreen, and we've seen plenty of evergreen posts too. We know that's Hillary Clinton's Secret Service name, and we've seen plenty of posts along those lines as well. But as far as kids being in it, and that's why it's docked, I mean, I don't know. I'm ready to go there yet.
Well, okay. Let me go one greater with you. Let's get I have gold tinfoil for some of my stuff related to my platform. I want to put my own space platform up, so we have gold tinfoil. We got the quality stuff. Okay, go to the old NASA photos. We got the gold tinfoil. So let's get our gold tinfoil hats out. Remember the Navy pilots that got in trouble for doing the phallic symbols when they're out there. The intruders were out flying up there, northwest somewhere out in the mountains, and they draw a big penis in the sky.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of different things like that, messages and whatnot. Yep.
Yeah. So that the evergreen boat, look, they're having a windstorm and everything else. They wait till the wind's going full blast. It's not like they were waiting for it to subside. They wait till the wind's getting stronger. And while they're out there going in circles, go look at the what they drew in the ship's plot map. It's identical to what the Navy pilots were doing up there in the mountains, and with their great big penis and balls hanging out there. And it's kind of a big FU before they take the boat in there and jam it in there and shut off, 12% of the world's shipping from moving through that canal. And, the other thing is all the subliminals. You want to draw attention to a particular name, you put it right there and choke off everything and stop the flow of ships. Everybody in the world is seeing it over and over and over. Well, there's a kind of a subliminal of that. In fact, I had invited you. I wish you had made it out here, but we had about 450 people showed up to with about 3 days notice to Nevada, and we had a showing, a whole day of showings of the movie The Called, of Jennifer Mack's film on a Saturday, and then Jim Caviezel's new movie, The Sound of Freedom, that we want to release this fall. So it was a private showing for kind of the internet influencers out there, and I wanted you to come, and maybe you'll get to come to one of the later ones before we actually do the main release in the fall. But in the course of getting everybody out here to look at it, we're trying to get a mentality where people kind of know what's happening, what this movie's about, to be able to talk about it intelligently. And one of the things, the imagery that's there in the movie is this evergreen shipping. somewhere in here with the child trafficking, yes, the Evergreen shipping line is going to come into the equation. In fact, the second movie relates to Haiti and what's been going on out of Haiti. And again, that relates to the whole Hillary stuff. So I think there's a huge story there. But all of that, I was mentioning it to come back to one specific thing. Do you know that when Gaddafi left power, when Gaddafi came into power, he shut down the slaves bazaar in downtown Tripoli? That's been going on for hundreds of years. And Gaddafi, the bad guy, evil guy Gaddafi, stopped the slave trading in Tripoli. When Gaddafi died, within a week, they started the slave trading, slave bazaar in downtown Tripoli again. So these people that Hillary and crew, we came, we saw, he died. Yeah. Okay. And then slave trading started back up again. Young kids, children. Look at what Boko Haram did here in Nigeria just a couple of weeks ago. Again, they go to a Christian school, kidnap the girls, and take them out, and then they spread them out around all these Muslim Brotherhood and similar crowds for wives, 6, 8, 10, 12-year-old girls. And, some of them are ending up in the bazaars up in Tripoli. Wow. So this is insane. Who's responsible for that? Well, excuse me, if you're listening here in America to this broadcast right now today, your government made that possible. You as a taxpayer, you paid for that.
Yeah, and
I hope that pisses you off.
Oh yeah,
I hope that pisses you off. Small children, young kids are being traded in a bazaar over there in North Africa because you made it possible. Mm-hmm. That was our air cap that made it possible to take out Gaddafi and do that. And Gaddafi, by the way, he was the one that behind the scenes was providing through his intelligence agencies all the stuff on the various players that, we were saying were involved in 9/11 and other terrorism stuff after 9/11. They didn't want to be confused with what was going on. They were providing all the intel backdoor to our intelligence agencies, everything they could. Because SAFE didn't want to get another B-1 bomber down their throat like happened back under Reagan. And so at the end of the day, we have a hand in that. And, the old saying, I was a kid, we'd go into the stores and they'd have signs, pretty to look at, pretty to hold. But if you break it, it's sold.
You break it, you buy it.
You break it, you buy it. We went in there and broke it. Now we're acting like we have nothing to. No, not my problem. Not my problem. Well, you know where the Suez Canal is? Right down the street. And if there's trafficking, when that stuff's out there floating around, going in circles, what was going on at Benghazi when the ambassador was killed? That's where the training was going on to train all of these guerrillas, these civil war fighters that were then being sent up to go into Syria to take out Assad. And so that was on our dime. We were there for a reason. We had all our GRS guys there because we had all these terrorists training. The very thing that we were accusing Gaddafi of, we're personally facilitating. That's the thing. Go into Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey, into these UN camps that are really just staging grounds for arms to stage a civil war in Syria against Assad. It wasn't a civil war. It was outside influences trying to take out Assad so they could put in a gas oil pipeline across Syria to be the next oil gas supplier from Saudi Arabia into Europe for the next 100 years to, hand that customer base over to Aramco. And the training for all of those people who were going to do this civil war inside Syria, which had nothing to do with being civil. It wasn't their citizens that were behind it. This was black hats wanting to own a big part of the cash flow out into the future for that customer base of Europe for oil and gas. Everything runs around energy. That's what the world turns on, is energy. And that's what they've been doing all over the world for a very long time, including here in the United States. What did Biden do? First thing he comes into office, what did Trump do? First thing he comes into office, he turns on oil and gas here in the States. So we're not energy dependent on outside sources, especially the Mideast. He gets our own oil wells going here. So we are becoming an oil exporter for the first time in 75 years. What happens first thing in the door with Biden? Bam, shut the doors. We're not going to produce oil and gas the same way, cut off the pipelines, get everything screwed up on the economics. And now we're going back to being energy dependent. It's part of this scam, because these are globalists trying to choke down America and force us to do their will, make us dependent, get the strap around our neck, and start dragging around on their ball and chain, do whatever they want us to do. At the end of the day, what's at the core of some of this? The child trafficking. The first thing they have to do is get the child trafficking going strong again in Libya. Where are they going? They're going up to Qatar. They're going to Saudi Arabia. Those kids, they're being sold, but not going to people in Tripoli. It's a trading point. They're going to Moscow. They're going to franken Bangkok. They're going to places all around the world.
Little hopscotch.
And you don't know where they're ending up at. So this movie, The Sound of Freedom, is an opening salvo to help people to understand what this looks like, what's at stake. It's a very modest entree to understand that world, but it's a very real world where children are trafficked to pedophiles, enslaved, in sex slavery, and then far worse. Everybody thinks that, oh, well, that's it happens once in a while. You realize that that's now set to eclipse the drug trade. Child trafficking, human trafficking is almost the same and moving past, set to move past drug trafficking is the most lucrative business in the world, in the criminal enterprise world.
Yeah.
So if you're not attacking that, you're not getting it. This isn't just in some inanimate thing. The people using the drugs, too bad about them. They got a problem, whatever. Trafficking children, sex slaves, trafficking adults. If you're not against that, if you don't have it in you to fight that, then especially as a country, if your policies as a country protect that, and then you turn around, well, I hope God blesses us. I hope he takes care of us. What are we going to do about Joe Biden? Excuse me, you want God's help? You better be on the right side. And right now, we don't look like we're on the right side as a nation. A lot of this stuff that's going on is being facilitated based on how our money is spent as a people. And so we want God on our side. We better get on his side and stop the child trafficking and the pedophilia, and do it in a decisive way, and not kind of a, oh, well, we'll look into it. And maybe there's something we can do. Where should I send the money? We got a lot of politicians that are all talk when it comes to stopping the child trafficking, but then they're down there in Haiti making sure the money goes to just the right people that allow the facilitate that trafficking happening. And if you think I'm overstating it, let's go back to Epstein Island.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't just teenage girls, 15, 16, 17 years old. They had areas there that were for blood transfer. These people getting human growth hormone because they're getting a blood transfer from young kids to old people, not just men, and worse.
So HGH, what's that about? They have to supplement it?
HGH, if you have human growth hormone, it helps with body repair, youth, skin, things like that, organ. There's some pretty comprehensive articles out there talking about transfusions from young children to adults as being a health aid and longevity aid. And so, these people that believe that's true, then they're out there trying to get their, fix, if you will, with the growth hormone with blood transfusions directly from young children. And then, of course, we know the worst. That isn't even the worst of it. With the adrenalizing of children, scaring them to death, and then getting blood transfusions to enjoy a high, just like drugs. Again, there's a component here that's a very scary, dangerous group of people who have seemingly no soul, that are involved in a lot of this stuff. And we can't be dismissive of that as though it's just an unusual thing, it's a rare thing or whatever. It's far more common, especially in these wealthy, powerful political, financial ranks than most people realize. And by the way, well, I don't know anybody that's like that. I've never heard of anybody like that. They mutually self-promote. They find the guys that think like they do, guy that's not qualified, but he'll make sure certain things happen a certain way, and he gets the promotion. You wonder why is that guy in charge of this? Why is that guy in that agency there? Why is that guy doing this particular thing? Well, because they'll protect these things. And here the gal that was helping smuggle kids out of Haiti, and she gets caught with Ava Gillespie, and then they turn around and put her in charge of the Amber Alert system.
Crazy.
Really? So she's gonna be monitoring in case anybody's got fears about children. What's she really doing? She's there in case anything of their group gets caught. Some riffraff guy, oh yeah, they'll chase him down and they'll be, America's most wanted and everything else, the greatest thing in the world. Any of their key people get caught in the middle of it? Oh no, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. These people put their friends in these powerful positions to protect themselves, each other, in order to continue doing what they're doing even more vehemently. This has to stop. We have to not be naive about what's going on in our name as Americans, as taxpayers. And that's why a movie like Sound of Freedom is important, because the public will, in a larger numbers, and this is all about a numbers game, we need enough people to understand the basics of the problem and have some pushback on that to not just slow this down, but to stop it completely, to make it very obvious that we can't be complacent about the trafficking, the pedophilia, etc., involving the kids.
Yeah, and a lot of people would just say, and I was kind of one of them, but you have to kind of take things in perspective. Everybody knows that would be the fastest way to red pill people if you could prove that and find a way. But here we are with the social media censorship and everything. And would people buy it unless you had total control over the media and social media? They would just kind of make because they're already doing it with the HBO stories. They're basically saying, these people, they believe in adrenochrome and that people eat babies. And of course they go with the most, grandiose things, which, Mike Rothschild the other day talking about Galactic Federation of Light. Q has all of that. John F. Kennedy Jr., he's been helping Trump for the last 20 years. So I put up a post. It says, is JFK Jr. alive? Q says no. Search Galactic Federation of Light, no posts. Search adrenochrome, not one post. Drinking blood, not one post. So they go with the most grandiose things. But I do agree, and I don't know how these people do, like that guy Tim Ballard. You could see he was, dealing with some things, having to deal with those situations of saving these kids, probably sometimes not being able to save some kids. That must be so trying on people that do that. I have utmost respect for that, but it must be the most difficult, thing to try to go back home at the end of the day and, go to sleep. It's just like, what you see, us normal people don't really see it. And it must be really tough on their soul. And you're right. Anybody that can hurt a kid, especially in that manner, there's no way you have a soul at all, period, to hurt the most vulnerable. So I truly hope this all gets exposed.
There's a saying, a Jewish saying, he who saves one life, it's as though they saved the whole world. In your circle, in your zone, you do the best you can with what you got. You try to improve over the last time. You try to grow it. Are you going to change everything all in one fell swoop? It's a process. You do what you can within your zone, and you're faithful. You invest your talent to do something in one small way, and you get another shot at it. Maybe the next year you get twice as good or more. You get some extra fruitful reward that allows you to do way, way, way more. This is something that we have to attack. And in reality, the people that are doing this takeover of the political spectrum, the business spectrum, the financial spectrum around the world, even the military, there is a crowd that is mutually promoting these groups that are into the Man-Boy Love Association, NAMBLA, National Man-Boy Love Association, to make it okay for adults to have, sexual encounters with kids, as though that's somehow acceptable, that kids would be in a position to make those kind of decisions. And other similar type groups, even these bizarre groups like Nexium, with the branding of the women, and Sanctum, which, as we understand it, supposedly that Bill Maher is a key member of. You've probably seen the pictures of Bill Maher wearing his sorcerer's apprentice outfit.
I'm cute.
So the long and short of it is that you have a number of these people and groups. They're laughing at us with their little sex clubs. One of the ones being a wife swapping group out of London, and that's actually a bunch of them are doing cover work for MI6 all over the world. We encounter them fairly frequently. We're very aware of what's going on there. We know what your associations are. To those guys that might be listening and thinking that they're hiding in there, we see the bullshit all the time. Know exactly who you are. And they're little guilty associations. And they come and attack us over here in the various groups, thinking they have some level of anonymity, and yet they're working collusively together because they have a particular interest, and that's promoting their globalist agents and agendas. Soros is an MI6 tool. He got his money shorting the British pound. Who had the intel on where the pound was going on the inside? And what's he doing? This black hat operation for the financials related to the City of London guys and like that. Soros is a figurehead every bit as much as Zuckerberg. Okay, Zuckerberg did not create Facebook. Facebook was a DARPA creation.
Absolutely.
He was the anointed guy that got to be put in the position to run it and have all the money, etc. Well, if Zuckerberg didn't create Facebook, it was a DARPA operation, then who are the Winklevoss twins that got all this money, claiming that they created Facebook and did this big lawsuit? All that was, gosh, there's so much money in Facebook. We got to get some money bled out of there to do other activities. So what do? It's like getting two kings at the blackjack table. So you split them. So they pulled some money out of there. These two guys supposedly are the ones that did it. Where did they go put it? Bitcoin. What?
Oof.
Oh yeah, they made a minor investment in Bitcoin. Bullshit. They were invested to outer space. And what's the whole point? Excuse me, Bitcoin, where does it come from? It comes from mining. It's data mining with the computers, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So at the end of the day, you're going to come in there to get your little computers going, make a buck here or there, whatever. Who has the biggest computers on the planet? The intelligence agencies. Okay. What are they doing in the background? They're crunching the numbers. They have all the coins. They have all the controls. They have all the data points. And by the way, anybody that thinks it's anonymous in the trading, I can tell you it's not. I can tell you guys see it going in, coming out with precision. It's bullshit.
And they're trying to regulate it more now too, right?
Right. And so, there's a lot of scams going on here over and over and over again. And everywhere you look, it's these criminal associations in plain sight in these intelligence agencies. For example, remember what's his name up there in Michigan, SEAL Team 6 guy, makes a big deal. He's running for office, became the governor up there. And he's talking about the fact that he's getting visited by 3-letter agency guys when he's running for office. He's like, what in the world? You guys don't have anything to do with domestic. What are you even doing here with me? And harassing him. There's some problems here in the country, and we have a crowd that are trying to control us, the population, covertly. They're not aimed at the rest of the world. They're a Frankenstein monster. They're a torpedo that's, lost its original targets, coming back homing in on the American people. They're going to try and blow us up. We have to stop them. And that's what this moment is all about. And anybody that thinks that we're done and this whole game is over and you're crying in the beer and America's lost and all this other stuff, look again. America isn't lost at all. What you're being allowed to do is see what these people would do if they were allowed to continue in office, to do everything they wish to do in their wet dreams. The reality is this is a near-death experience. It's not a death experience. And if it is a death experience, nothing else matters. Get right with your creator and get ready to kiss your ass goodbye. If these people were allowed to stay in office, what they have in mind for us, we're toast. Thankfully, it's my contention that God himself, God in his own heaven, is not going to be mocked. His people showed up. We were there January 5th and 6th. We were praying. We asked that the country be saved. We answered the president's call. And this whole thing will get flipped, reversed, boomeranged. That's the 17th book of the Bible, Esther. You and I did a huge show before they pulled it down, talking about Esther a year ago and what was coming up on the election and this period of time. This is far from over. Patriots Purim, that's right. So, in fact, if that's been pulled down other places, I need to grab that somewhere and post it over at 107 Daily, and I will. And you'll start seeing videos over there. I actually myself will begin doing a weekly show there, besides my other appearances, but a presentation. It's not an interview or anything on stuff I want to do. I intend to do that, have it there on Saturday afternoons, early evening. And that's still a week or two out. Once we get through this next checkpoint on the build out. And I'm looking forward to that. And I think it'll be a very important, useful thing to folks. And, hopefully people will really enjoy it.
I think they will. And just so you're aware, I do have a copy of that Patriot Purim. I actually have it loaded up on the computer here. When I first got kicked off the other sites, I did a couple live streams on DLive, so I can definitely keep you a copy or throw it in a thumb drive or something and send it over to you.
Those are some great shows. Yeah. I'm telling you, the other one, All Patriots Must Listen, is the way that you had it titled, but that's actually the basis for one of the chapters in my book. And I think it's a very important show. I don't know what the total views were across all platforms, but it was a very high number. I mean, it's a compliment to the pull you have, the audience that you have. Fantastic. And, I want to see that restored. That's why I want you over on my platform too.
Absolutely.
Great prominent position, because you deserve it. You've been in this the whole way. And I'm not just saying that just fluffy. I have tremendous respect for the way that you present the material you present to your audience. There's a lot of folks get into this and they end up being, it's almost the squeaky voice and the sky is falling and it's the end of the world and everything else. You have a very specific type of demeanor that's a steady at the wheel type of demeanor that really helps people to think stuff through in a measured way. It's something that's needed, and I think you do an outstanding job of it. And it's exactly the kind of folks that I want to see over there at 107 Daily. So I hope you'll be, very heavily involved over there, and anything I got to do to help you out, I'm right there for you. I want you there full time, all the time, every time you got time, regular show, periodic show, whatever you want, you got it. I'll do everything to make sure that happens for you.
I really appreciate the compliment, and the feeling's more than mutual, my friend. And I thoroughly enjoy these shows as well that we've done together. But yeah, it's been a tough ride throughout the way. We've seen a lot of people fall by the wayside, but I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised fairly soon. And I've done a couple videos on the whole Kim Clement prophecies, and he's speaking. And I think many of the things he said, especially about Trump, have come true. But the one part that kind of sticks out in my head, and he talks about the plan that I have. It was a plan so brilliant that it could only have been from me. So basically saying that the plan I think that we're dealing with now, if we're putting two and two together, could have only come from God. That he says he will fool the people. I think a lot of people out there are fooled right now. And, it's going to be a big shock for the other side as well. So you'll have to kind of be there welcoming people with open arms rather than ridicule. Going forward, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see. But in the grand scheme of things, it's been 2 months, and a lot of people have just been like, the planet's done. Earth is going to be blown up soon, and the United States is no more. And I truly do not believe that. And me, Juana, we've talked about this before. I'm not here to lie to anybody. People donate, send PayPals, which I appreciate, but that's not why I'm here. It's for the same reason you're here. It's for the betterment of our country going forward. So my son has a great place to live, so we can let the children go out and have fun and not have to be over their shoulders, so they can kind of grow up the way I did in the late 70s, early 80s, and have that freedom to be a kid and not have to always be watching over their shoulders and saying, oh, if I let my kid go out in the street, or out in the neighborhood, is he going to be all right? You never had to worry about that so much when we were growing up. But nowadays, it's just such a different environment. And it's really sad to see happening in our country. So I do look forward to the time when we can look back at these tumultuous times, I guess you could say, because a lot of people, feeling a lot of stress right now, and I think rightfully so. If they haven't been kind of following along with what's going on and what's been said, like I said earlier, we were told they were going to steal the election. We were told they were going to take him out on the 25th Amendment. We were told that they were going to, do all these things that they're doing right now, open the border back up, 1 A through Z. We were told exactly what is going on right now. And I don't think people, I think people forget that. And I think they forget some of the things that we've seen over the last few years. Like I mentioned earlier too, with McCain. Does everybody think that John McCain died of brain cancer 30 days to the day after Q said John McCain back in the news in 30, exactly 30? So if they were able to take this guy off the planet, and in my eyes, it had to be for treason, because we saw all these things with, pictures of him with ISIS, right? We had Kasich even say, "Oh, it's been 48 hours or 24 hours since they executed John McCain." So if you thought that they did this to McCain, a couple of years ago, did you think that was the end of the road? So people are just not thinking clearly and kind of putting two and two together. They just see what they saw most recently. Memory is a hell of a thing, right? The more recent things, are great in your memory, but you forget about these things even 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think people are going to be amazed as this plays out, and you begin to see more and more and more that stuff that seemed kind of bizarre, weird, didn't seem like it could make sense, all of a sudden makes perfect sense. Remember, a lot of this was done on supercomputer, was cross-checked in how it was going to be played out, so that there was a supercomputer component to it, where things layered together very precisely in such a way that down the road you'd say that precisely ties to something here, to something here, to something here, by exact time, by exact date, by exact terms. And, you're watching a very well scripted series of events. It's not as haphazard or happenstance as many may think it is. So.
I was just muted on there on my end of the stream. They didn't hear that, but yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I appreciate it, but I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. And I just figured out about 5 minutes ago that Red Pill's not even going live until 10 p.m. Eastern, which is another 10 minutes from now, which is pretty hilarious. But the reason is I want to put this up on BitChute so people can watch it over there as well. And if you go too long, from I know Jennifer had some issues as well. It won't upload at all. So if you go too far, they will not do that. But as I'm coming back from work, if I'm gonna see if I can maybe do at least a half hour, maybe on Friday nights. If I can do it around 8 o'clock, that's great. If I get a quiet house, and you always have a welcome mat for your voice to portray your information out to my crowd, which like everybody else's crowd, absolutely loves to hear your insights and your calming voice too. And I saw a couple of chats in the beginning that were like, yeah, I feel at peace now. I can hear Juan's voice. He gives me a sense of peace to listen to, and I agree too. So I would say you're more than welcome to join me. That anytime that I do go live, and if there's anything else you wanted to let the people know, and my mods are dropping and have been dropping links to 107daily.com out there. So guys, if you're having any issues, like I said, he's beefing this stuff up, and he'll be good to go soon. So keep that in your back pocket if you're not able to get on. But the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate it much. Look forward to the next opportunity to get together. We'll have a lot more to talk about as this begins to play out. Right now, it may seem a little quiet. A lot of stuff is done by, we're seeing things that are clicking little things in our mind, but it's not the big one yet. Mm-hmm. Deep breaths. The big ones are coming. And when it does happen, I think the unique part of it is everyone will see it as a move of God, an act of God. No man will be able to take credit. Something in the morning, something at night, something bizarre, something extreme, something nobody expected. It'll be something or a couple of things. And at the end of the day, you might think, well, that was kind of unusual. That was kind of this, that. It's an act of God. God's not letting this country go down the drain. He's not letting people be taken captive. And we're coming to save the children. That's our destiny. And then we're going to go out into the rest of the world and help the rest of the world, not as our brother's keeper, but as our brother's brother. We're not going to be part of this slave trade, and we're not going to look the other way while it happens.